Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Internet Friends, the episode where we actually finally have a day where we can actually be on a Discord call together.
Actually,
Yay!
we did it.
We are dealing with the common problem for us millennials of just trying to find a day where we can get together and everything works.
Yep.
Because we tried, we genuinely tried.
We did.
So hard.
We did.
in
And that
fact.
one wasn't even really our fault. That was the developer's fault. They admitted it.
I would argue it was the server's fault, which isn't inherently the developers. Inherently.
Yeah.
To be specific.
But no, we're glad to be black. We tried to do something a little bit
We're
different.
glad to be black.
I
You don't want to
I'm-
take two on that one.
I'm black by association. I actually do have black family.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't
It's like
think
a
that'll
whole-
hold up in court.
It's a whole sinners.
None of us
situation.
are
We'll talk about it,
redheads,
like-
so like we're
None
not
of
getting invited to that cookout.
Bree could dye her hair. I'm invited to the cookout. I have stepsisters who are black, so it's fine. I'm just the one who's manning the grill. That's my job at the cookout.
Sure.
This is a great start, by the way. I feel so
Like,
comfortable about everything we've
Yeah,
said.
I'm not allowed to hang out with the uncles and play spades or any of that stuff. Like, that's off limits for me, but like it's fine.
Yeah.
And this is how I get canceled.
I'm gonna say Dante has his paw out right now. He says, "Stop, please."
Stop. Sometimes we do need a producer to be like, okay, move on, move on.
And in the background, they're just like, "Stop it, cut."
That legitimately will be the diversity hire. Specifically, like it has to be an asexual person of color who is like from like the most diverse background we could possibly get to just be like, I need you to shut the fuck up.
You three, stop.
They're gonna be so stressed.
And they're gonna be paid more than all of us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nothing, so basically like $1 we're good.
Done and done.
How have you
Moving
guys
on.
been? How have you guys been?
I'm hanging by a thread. How are you both?
You have a
Same.
thread? Oh, wow.
I'd go to therapy if I could afford it. That's kind of where I was like, man, I really need to go to therapy. Man, I can't afford therapy. So I just keep spiraling just between those.
Yeah, we find things to replace therapy and then realize that those don't work, but continue to do them anyways because they're still technically cheaper.
Weed is cheaper and legal here, so I hear you.
So is whiskey.
Always with the caveat of it's legal here. You're so nervous about that one, Bree.
I was about to... We talk about doing things that are illegal all the time.
I am job hunting right now is the thing. So I just
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bree has never done any felonies ever in her life. Can
and she has
confirm.
great work ethic. So
Yes.
yay.
Honestly, she's the glue that holds this show together, and that shows how committed she is to like the work that goes into it.
Sure, here's my references right here.
Yeah.
Pull them up on screen.
As her boss who doesn't pay her. Amazing employee.
You're welcome.
She's done more for exposure than most people do to get paid for.
And believe me, all three of us have done a shit ton for exposure. Unfortunately.
Oh, and it pays off, and it always pays off.
As a matter of fact, that's how we all met, was just doing something for exposure. If you think about it, really, if you go back to the LTA days.
You're so right.
If Phil will feature my video in his channel, maybe I'll get more views.
We're not going to use their actual YouTube names. We're going to give them fake names and not link anything out to them or anything.
I forgot how bullshit that was. Like I feel like
That was pretty bullshit.
It was a fun novelty on the time, but then you think about it and go like, oh,
You're like,
that was
oh.
incredibly exploitive.
yeah,
Oh,
100%.
But if they liked your review, they put it in a playlist that they hid and didn't have easy access to.
Yeah.
So,
You got to host sometimes. Usually one
Yeah.
time.
Well, I never
Oh,
did.
God. Did I ever get a host?
I got to host once.
I
And it was
think-
not a
yeah.
video I was proud of. And I got a lot of shit for it. So I was like, I wish I didn't host.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I got a host or not. I don't think I did.
I can't remember.
I know Seth didn't. Mitch got like 3.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but Mitch was Mitch of the show. He was the favorite.
For all
Fuck
the audio
Mitch.
listeners of
whatever
the show,
reason.
like there's audio listeners, I'm holding up both my middle fingers when we were referencing Mitch, just so everybody knows.
Am I the only one who met him in person? Because
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, he was very. This might
I
shock
was
you. He's really not nice in person. So,
No.
What?
Really?
No! I am so
very
shocked.
unpleasant.
This is just the reminiscing about the good old days of the internet. Where
Yeah. It's been a rough few weeks. We need this.
There's a reason we call this therapy session. I've been watching your TikTok stuff, so I'm just like,
oh, that real sad one I made when I was drunk the other night? Yeah, that got deleted immediately the next morning. Yeah.
I'm sure I got a comment on it before it went down. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of stuff,
transition. Anyways,
speaking of stuff, no Subway.
Thinking of stuff that just doesn't like work, like our lives in capitalism, we decided that
capitalism works great. Actually, unfortunately,
it's true.
It works as intended.
Correct.
We decided that we wanted to do Baldur's Gate 3 as a homework assignment. We tried to record ourselves all playing it together. However, because the patch 7 crossplay stuff was soon new, we ran into a lot of server issues, and eventually we had to kind of call it a day because we couldn't even get past the tutorial without something happening, unfortunately. So, you guys got about an extra week to play it, and I've beaten it twice and have multiple playthroughs for it. Bree played it briefly prior. Seth, you're coming into it brand new, so I kind of want to get all of our perspectives from it from people who have played certain amounts. So, Seth, as the person who came into it fresh, I kind of want to hear your thoughts first.
Well, I suck at turn-based combat. I'm really,
That's
really bad
actually
at
something
it.
I was going to be curious about.
Especially this kind of turn-based where you have to like align the pieces on the board and like look for shade, look for cover, and I spent a lot of my playthrough on the game over screen. I am bad at it. Other than that, I get why people love it. Like, it's a beautiful game. There is so much to do. I'm actually surprised you've beaten it multiple times with how much there is to do in the game.
Just I think it's like a 5-hour time on my Steam is what they have clocked for me, and some of that's Emily, but
just 5 hours?
500.
Oh, 500. Oh, okay, I didn't.
I was like, I heard 5 too. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, 500.
I was like, I played for like 11 or 12, and I barely scratched the surface of this game. I feel, but it is an impressive accomplishment in the world of gaming. The fact that you can talk to pretty much every NPC. I found a potion that let me talk to animals, and that unlocked a whole bunch more NPCs I could speak to. That owl bear did not like me.
Yeah, no, if you pick a certain class, you can talk to animals like right away, and like that unlocks a whole extra element of the game.
But yeah, it was like I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, having heard about it. The turn-based stuff is really what's holding me back because, like,
I know this
dying and having to reload.
I know this wasn't your kind of genre because I know you're a little bit more into like the action-based kind of games, and like based on things that we've played together that you've recommended, you like more linear experiences for the most part.
Yeah.
And like a high level of kind of action. So because like we played Portal together, even though that was my assignment, like I know how much of a Portal fan you are. We've talked about Doom. We played BioShock Infinite, which is a very narrative driven game, and like it's very on rails. So like you like more of like a kind of guided narrative, whereas Baldur's Gate 3 is not inherently that.
And to speak to that, something about Baldur's Gate is that I never felt suffocated by choice with like, well, what do I do next? Where do I go next? What do I do? And that's a big issue I have with less linear gameplay is that they just give you some. I mean, we played Legend of Zelda a while back, and that was one where I was just like, okay, what the fuck do I even do now? Where do I go? How do I never felt that with this, which I thought was really well done.
They did a very good job with that, yeah. So Brie, kind of going to you. You and me are more of the tabletop RPG Dungeon and Dragons type. I know you played a little bit of this game, but you and me both have a little bit more of like the tabletop RPG experience. How did you kind of feel about how this translates from the D&D element to the like video game experience?
Yeah, honestly, one of my like first notes on this game is that I think this is such a great introduction to D&D. It's such a like inclusive and safe way to play D&D just because like and somebody who's pretty new, I've been playing D&D for about 2 years now. It's a very intense, very confusing fucking game, and if you're not with the right group of people, you can get turned off to it very, very quickly. So I think this is such a good intro cuz like I think I mentioned before on a different podcast, but like that I would never play a spellcaster IRL. In this game, I would absolutely play a
Yeah.
spellcaster because it kind of sorts that information for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, spellcasting is like I know it's not that hard, but like as a player, I just don't fucking want to deal with it.
The concept of spell slots and like what a certain level spell is and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. It puts a
it's a
lot.
lot to keep track of.
Yeah. And like no, that is an element of the game that I think is really good. Is like this is very much baby's first D&D for anybody. Where it's just like if somebody tells you they want to get into tabletop RPGs like Pathfinder or D&D, like you're just like play Baldur's Gate. Like it's super low barrier to entry. It does all the complicated mechanics for you, and you can through osmosis like absorb how the game works. Like you can learn how modifiers work, how to work a stat sheet, how like certain weapons have like their modifiers and everything else like that. You learn kind of like what they're doing in the background, but you don't have to be cognizant of it as you start playing. You can just start playing the game and then go at and learn as you go.
100%. And actually, to speak to what Seth said, like, I will say, both in my IRL games and this game, combat is my least favorite thing.
Yeah.
It's just like it takes a very long time and it's very strategic. And for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I accidentally end turn too early all the time. And I was like, oh fuck, shit. Okay, nope, didn't mean to do that.
I think you and me are on the same page of like tabletop RPGs, where it's just like you and me are both role play people. Like combat, I'm sorry to all the Dungeons and Dragons like roleplay people out there. Or no, it's the combat people who like the stats and min maxing and everything else like that. It's just like that is the most boring part of the game for me. I'm sorry. Like the roleplay is what I'm there for. I'm there to kind of just be immersed in the world. Like we have a problem at my Pathfinder campaign where I'm specifically just like as the ranger. It's just like no, you avoid danger where you can.
Yes.
And everything else like that. It's just like, but we don't get experience unless we have our encounters in combat. I'm just like, but combat literally takes half the session, and we're literally just rolling dice all day.
We had an all combat session last time because very similar. Like I play a rogue because of course I do, and I'm just like my AC.
It's also a tiefling, by the way.
100%, of course, naturally. But yeah, we like my barbarian, who I love so much, runs into everything, and even our DM was like, "All you didn't have to do any of this combat. Like all of these were optional battles, but you chose to battle all of these characters that were like non-lethal. You just killed them." I was like, "Okay, well, this is less fun of a session, especially like I will say, as playing like a rogue or a barbarian, which I typically play. There's only so much you can do in combat as well. But then again, if you get into spellcasting, it's more complicated. So I'm like, you either get a boring combat where you could really only use like 2 different things over and over again and hope it hits, or very complicated spell casting. So yeah, combat is not my most favorite thing, but I will say again, this game does make it very accessible, and you can really kind of rip through it very quickly if you kind of have like your go-to moves for each of your party members.
Yeah.
Like for me, I'm like I just pick the party members that are like the simplest, and just kind of go from there so that it goes a little quicker.
Yeah. So, Seth, in terms of how far you got, you mentioned Owlbear, so that gives me a certain context. Lou, how far did you get into this gameplay before we recorded?
I don't have any context for how far I got because I don't know what's past what I've done. But I am still going to the Goblin Village to find the healer.
I was literally going to ask if you had gotten to the Tiefling party or.
Oh yeah.
Well, Okay, so
The-
it's a
well,
tiefling
the-
party
the-
if you make certain decisions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then no, I have not. I've made it to the Tiefling Village.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Grove, yeah.
It's like right after the tutorial.
Yeah. So, not trying to give Seth too many spoilers, but so after you do the Goblin camp, basically there's two branching paths that you can take. You can
Okay.
either raid the Grove and kill all the tieflings,
Okay.
or you could kill the entire Goblin camp.
Oh, okay.
So kind of, there is some things that you can do in between that can make it very different, but more or less that's the branching path of that.
Okay.
And
Alright.
so after you do that,
Which one
there's
ends in fucking?
depending on who you're trying to fuck.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
That's what I will say. Which actually brings up a great point: the romance system of this. Give Larian a lot of credit. They found a very simple but ingenious solution to romancing characters, where it's just like you pretty much romance anybody who's in the main party. Like
And they're all hot,
regardless,
so you have a lot of good options.
yeah, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, it's just like if you want to fuck them, you can fuck them.
Bisexual is the default, as it should be. So
Well, it's
Agreed.
also great because like you also have the opportunity to be non-binary. You can be male presenting with female genitalia, or female presenting with male genitalia. Like it's just like it's as inclusive as it possibly can. Literally just from not from a place of like forcing it, but just it's just like player freedom. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's it's crazy how simple that is.
It is. And how a lot of gamers or game developers don't do that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of games that have been criticized for basically it's just Mass Effect's a classic one where it's just like, so let me get this straight. You have Jack, the tattooed up, shaved head, psychotic, biotic, pirate girl. And so I can't romance her as a female character? Explain that to me?
fuck that.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's one of those things where all they did was make it to where it's just like, look, it doesn't matter. You can romance them as long as you do the right things to romance them. Which brings us to my next point. All right, who are we all romancing?
I only have the first companion that you get at the beginning of the game, which is the gal with the Rubik's Cube.
Shadowheart.
That's the only person
Yeah.
in your party?
Yeah. It's the only one. I met a demon guy who wanted to join, and I said, no, fuck you.
Demon?
I think so. Tiefling? I don't know. He showed up, and they just kept calling him the devil, and he looked like the actual devil.
Oh, I don't think
Raphael?
you can be on your party.
Yeah.
Raphael doesn't join your party, but so like
Oh, he doesn't?
you haven't recruited any other companions.
Not yet, no. I've just been
Not
running around
Sarah,
talking to
not Dale.
people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I am bad
I-
at this game. Do we need
No,
to go over that again?
I love this because I remember when me and M first started playing it, we had a shared playthrough that we started playing. We were a tiefling barbarian, and
Yeah.
we were playing through. You don't have context for this stuff, so Bree, like we came across a Starian, he attacks me and like sticks a knife to my throat, and I'm just like, "Fuck you, go fuck off, bud."
And you're like,
So-
yes, daddy.
And
No?
so,
Okay,
but no,
that's
so
what-
no Astarian for the rest of the playthrough. Never ran across Lae'zel, and so the next time we say Lae'zel is when we run across the Githyanki and like gets murdered.
Oh,
And so,
very interesting.
and that's about as far as we got. So like we go back, we do like all the things you're supposed to do, quote unquote, but like it's incredible that the game basically lets you like not do the things you're technically supposed to do, as Seth is apparently experiencing.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of people. I did a lot of things, but no one wanted to join my party.
So no Gale, no Will, no Lae'zel,
No,
no Karlach.
no. The
Oh,
green
buddy.
ogre lady did what the ogre lady who's I'm bad with fantasy names. the one that you meet on the ship at the beginning, she's not an ogre, she's something else. But in the tutorial, you meet her. She would pop up randomly in cutscenes and then just fuck off after the cutscene was done.
Yeah.
Oh, Lae'zel, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are playing the game so wrong, and I actually love that. That is actually really fun.
First note, this would probably be better with friends. I need help.
Hey, look, assuming that the patches work, I'm more than happy for us to jump on and do a shared stream together. I think it would be fun.
I'd like it.
Well, and zero
Actually-
judgment because my friend Alice, who you guys know adjacently, the first time she played this game, she played it extremely similarly to you. But hers was basically like, okay, well, I'm gonna play this as safe as possible. So no, I'm not gonna grab this random hand that's popping out of a portal. That seems like a bad fucking idea. This guy just tried to kill me. I'm not gonna bring him in my party. So very similar. I think she only had Shadow Heart like the entire playthrough. So you're not totally off base there.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think that is something you have to learn in this game, that you do have to take chances on certain things because it sometimes pays off.
But I think that's one of the incredible thing about the game is that, like, because Seth, you're used to, again, the linear experiences, like you go through the entire thing. This is a game that doesn't tell you no to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even
Absolutely.
if it is technically the wrong thing to do, it's just like, yeah, no, go ahead. Like,
I thought. I did think someone was going to join my party at one point, and then I said the wrong thing, and they started throwing fireballs at me. So, yeah. I don't think they were supposed to join the party. I think it was just set up that was going to happen anyway, but...
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out what that could have been now.
And I'm like,
It was after you find the dead dwarf or the dying dwarf.
Oh, before the
And you
owl
got-
bear. Yeah, I got you.
Right before the owl bear. And he's got
Yeah,
two
you're not-
companions that he's like...
Yeah, you're not recruiting them, but yeah, and I
Oh,
know
okay.
I know what you're talking about.
Because I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to get... Oh, shit, they're fighting me now. Fuck.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
mad at me.
Yeah. But
Okay.
that brings me to a note that I do have. I really liked that dialogue options felt like they mattered in this game, whereas a lot of times they don't matter at all in other games.
And that's an interesting thing because we've gotten to a point. Mass Effect pioneered the your choices matter, like in terms of that, especially because they had it carry across saves from 3 different games, and so but they were very strictly kind of very options. Like, here's the good option, here's the neutral option, here's the bad option. Like, they made it very clear for you of how you wanted to do the playthrough. This one doesn't make it inherently clear, but the thing that I will say is that the dialogue options they give you are broad enough to where they're things that you would actually be give you the option that you actually want to do.
Yeah.
And
it
based
varies a
off
lot
of...
depending on
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say, I had a lot of answers. Like, okay, I'm a tiefling, so as a tiefling, I'm gonna answer this way. As a barbarian, I'm gonna answer this way. So I would have these dialogue options with a bunch of different kind of slight advantages based on just the race that I chose, on the class that I chose. So yeah, again, to your point, it's not just a renegade paragon type of thing where it's a good, bad, and then nothing. There's a lot of different nuances where sometimes I didn't even know where this was kind of leading until I chose that option. I was like, oh, whoops, that was a little more aggressive than I thought. My bad.
Yeah.
Tiefling
And I mean,
things.
they are suffering from the harsh reality of again, coming from D&D, which is a lot more open-ended and has a DM who has the ability to kind of adapt and maybe guide you down a certain path. The game is the game that it is, but we're going to give you as many options as we can to make it feel like you're in control of it, even though in reality it is still just a video game. It's all algorithmically just pick one thing and go down this direction.
Yeah.
So we got off track. So Seth can only romance Shadowheart because that's his only option at this point. Bree, who are you romancing?
I actually did romance Shadowheart in my first game because she was the only one
Bree.
who would. She's the only one who would fuck me. And just a slight aside. So yeah, because
I've been there. I have been there.
Yeah. I was like,
Okay,
well, I mean,
who would you fuck? Let's take like who like is actually wanting to fuck you in the game. Who would you fuck the most?
okay, so here's the problem. Like, okay, original game, I was going for Asteria, but he did not want to fuck with me at all. And I might have mentioned this on the pod before, but I was talking to Gail at the camp because that's when everybody's like the horniest after you like kill the
Yeah,
goblin camp.
that's how it
Ideally, you
originally
do
was.
that.
Is that basically the Goblin Camp party was like where you locked in who you were gonna fuck, and like that's how they originally did. They patched that out since.
Oh, that's good to know. Okay. Well, when I did that in my original game, I talked to Gale and he's like, "Oh, it's a bummer I didn't know you any better. Like I could have shown you some magic." And I was like, I went to bed. I was like, "God, I wish I could have. I wonder what he was going to show me. Like magic is so cool." I was like thinking of all the spells and I was like, "Oh, he meant sex."
Yeah. Well, it's
Oh,
funny because a lot
goodness.
of people who originally played talked about how like they went up to Gale at the pub and it's like, "Hey, I'll show you a magic trick later," and they're just like, "Yeah, sure, that sounds fun." It's just like, "Cool, we're banging later." It's just like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Like,
whoa."
Oh,
I just
oh.
wanted because you would go up to another companion and be like, "Oh, so you're fucking Gale later?" And it's just like, "Wait, what? What?"
No, he's just showing me a cool magic trick. What
But
do you mean?
that's a funny
Yeah.
thing about like I think we've all had that party experience of just like you were talking to one person and then like you go, it's just like you hit it off with somebody else. It's like, "Oh, I thought you were hooking up with so and so later." I was just like, "Wait, what?"
No. Wait, were they hitting on me? I had no idea.
This only happens in game with you. This is like a lot of my love life and flirting that I've dealt with.
Oh,
Someone
no,
being like,
so-
"Oh,
Oh,
aren't
yeah,
you?
no-
Aren't you?" And that
Oh,
person
plus-
hooking up and me being like, "What? They were flirting?
Yeah. Oh, dude,
No clue."
my entire life with M has been like you realize they were hitting on you, right? It's like, no, they were. It's just like, Emily, for the love of God.
I have actually been told, we've been dating for the last 3 months, right? And I'm like, "Oh, have we? Oh, I mean, that does explain a lot, doesn't it? We should probably change Facebook statuses."
I don't know
Huh.
if I told you guys this story. So when me and Ems first started talking, like a lot of our interactions were over Tumblr, and like we did like long GIF conversation threads. You probably saw them on Tumblr like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I invited her over for ice cream one day, and like she
Oh,
literally
sweet.
only thought it was for ice cream.
Was it not
Aw.
ice
Yeah.
cream? Ice cream?
She got
When
ice
you
cream.
first, I didn't catch on until you said, and she thought it was just for ice cream, and I was like, "Well, that's just like a cute date." I showed up on a first date once with a bottle of wine and like a couple flowers, and then at the end of the next day, she was like, "Why didn't we hook up last night?" And I was like, "It was our first date." And she's like, "You brought me wine and flowers. That's like a sign of."
I was
like,
about to say, like, it's
"Hey,
just
we're
like,
trying."
you brought me wine and flowers. Where was the dick?
Yeah, and I was like, she's like, "And we just watched a movie at my apartment. You didn't like, and then you left. I thought I did something wrong."
In your defense, there was a lot of times in my early 20s where like I had somebody over. It's just like I feel like I should have made a move there. Oh well.
This was 2 years ago.
I no, honestly, I will say for me, it's like I think it's my Midwest friendly that I like. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people take my friendliness
Yeah.
as me flirting with them, and then I get the awkward. They're like, "Well, my girlfriend and I are doing this," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not. I am not."
I've been my boyfriend so many times where it's just like, "No, I'm just talking.
Yeah.
I'm happy for you too, but."
You always have to just like eventually being married, at least like the ring helps like just like kind of signal out. It's just like, oh no, sorry,
Right.
my bad.
Yeah.
Just over
didn't
gesture
see.
then.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, hey,
Do the
thing.
princess wave every
Yeah,
time.
hey,
Hey.
finger, just context clue.
Oh goodness.
Anyways,
But
so
who would I fuck?
Yeah,
so-
Yes, who would you fuck, Brie?
it's so tough because again, I think everybody's very fuckable. I think in
yes,
this game,
absolutely.
I'm leaning towards Will or Gale. Will is also another character that I did not get in my first game because I like forgot about him, and then they're like, you could like have him on your party. I was like, oh, that guy was so cool. I definitely want him on my party. So this might shock you, but I've never met Karlak in either of my games. But this one I'm going to, so I cannot fucking wait. Actually, it might be her. A couple of Tiefling
It's Karlak.
power
It's
couple.
only Karlak. The only correct answer is Karlak.
I mean,
And I say this as
think they're
somebody
better, but I
who
get it.
who again, first playthrough was Karlach, and then literally I did my second playthrough. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna try and romance somebody else. I'll go for Shadowheart. Was pining after Shadowheart, and then I got the cutscene of Karlach coming to you in the middle of the night. She's like, I want to ride you until you see stars. And I was just like, I folded instantly.
You're like, okay.
I was just like,
Okay.
sorry, Shadowheart, but the Tiefling Barbarian, sorry, that's my type.
Understandable. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the chips fall. But I'm trying to talk to everybody as much as possible. I'm having a lot more fun this playthrough just because I will say thank you so much because you've reignited my addiction to this game because I think about it constantly. And when I come home from work, I am way too tired to do anything. But I was like, I could play for an hour, right?
Yeah.
just
Well, that's
little hour.
that's the interesting thing about the game is that like there's so much to do that you do feel like you accomplish a lot in the hour, but at the same time you don't do anything.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
it is like that 500-hour time frame is just like you get a lot done in a short period of time, but you're still not like super progressing because there's so much to do in this game.
Yes. Well, and I unfortunately and I think I mentioned this before, my first playthrough, part of the reason I did not progress the way I wanted to is that I played it kind of like a Goosebumps choose your own adventure, and anytime I made a bad decision, I would just reset. And I made a lot of bad decisions in my first game. So
Oh yeah.
it just took, and this time I was like, I'm going to commit to every decision I make. And then I accidentally killed the druid healer. And I was like, I don't think. Oh, Halsin's hot too. God, what am I supposed to do? So
Well, Halson's a slow burn because you can't hook up with him until like Act 3.
I know, but big bear dude. I don't know. It just kind of
Well,
that's
do you
kind of my
hook up with
type,
him
to be honest.
as the elf, or do you hook up with him as the bear? Because I hooked up with him as the bear.
Oh,
In my
I'm a
second
barbarian
playthrough,
this time.
yeah, in my second playthrough, I played a tiefling warlock. Was going for Shadowheart, ended up with Karlach, and then Halson was just like, "Hey, you want a bone?" I was just like, "Yeah, sure."
Let's go.
And then
Yeah,
he was
okay.
just like, and then he turned into bear form. And was like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn into bear form." It's just like, "Why are you apologizing?"
This is better.
Keep going.
This is what I wanted. If there's a game that's gonna turn me into a like pan or bisexual, it's gonna be this game.
Absolutely. And why not? Honestly,
And like,
it's high
and that's
time.
the thing. And that's the thing about the party members. It's just like I would fuck all of you. Yeah. My shared playthrough for Emily. She's an Astarian girly. She can't quit him as much as she tries. Vampire twinks are just her thing, especially British vampire twinks. But like, so I started romancing Lae'zel in that playthrough. I was just like, this is really hot. I'm into this.
She scares me. She's mean. She's
Which
too
is
mean
my
for
type.
me.
That's my type as well. Oh, you scare me?
You would love her. Yeah,
Probably hurt
real
me.
mean.
Yeah. Well, so like in Act 2, you guys are way far away from this at this point. In Act 2, if you're actively romancing Lae'zel, she's just like, all right, we're going to be together. We need a full-on fight to the death. So like in the middle of like the night, you guys just like have a crazy combat session.
Oh.
Is it to decide who's on top?
Basically, yeah. It's basically
I
an
like
assertion of dominance, and it's
Okay.
incredibly hilarious.
Interesting.
But yeah. But no, it's an incredible game. I hope you guys continue to play for it. Seth, feel free to hit me up. We can do some co-op and streaming stuff for it. Emily just got home.
Talking about Baldur's Gate?
We're talking about the Baldur's of the Gates.
I love Baldur's Gate. I don't know about you guys.
I was just giving you shit about Astarian because we were talking about our romance picks.
That turnaround felt offended. The way she like snapped around.
I let him bite me in
Arm
the
out.
first game. I understand.
What were we talking about?
She's saying
The way you turned around. The way you turned around, I could tell you were offended by what Aaron had just said.
Yeah. That's my boyfriend right there. He was the live wallpaper on my phone for I want to say like 6 months.
Emily,
Like just
Nice.
sweaty, like
no,
shirtless.
sweaty. No, it was the full-on blood all over his face.
And covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's
Oh, yeah?
that's the thing. That's her thing. We're not going to talk about those kinks.
Not getting into that. Not until she's guest host.
Yeah, I'm working on it. When are you guest hosting? When are you guest hosting?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you.
Guest hosting what?
The show.
No one's asked me.
All right, you're guest hosting. After Bree's next homework assignment, you're guest hosting.
Okay.
All right, cool. She's going to make
All
us
right.
read like some smutty fan fiction. It'll be fine.
I'm down. Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways. But yeah, anyways. Karlak is best girl. Any other kind of final thoughts? Bree, how far did you get in general? Where are you at now in this playthrough?
I am at the Goblin Camp, and I just got Halsin. Okay, and let me explain this because I did not realize this, and my partner told me this in passing, but I didn't realize that you can recruit one of the 3 Goblin people, the Drow in particular. I
Minthara,
didn't know
yeah.
that they could be on your party, and he mentioned that to me casually. I was like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, oh
Yep.
yeah, I think you have to do the evil route, but you can't do it. I was like, no, hold on. So I had to like do
So-
some extensive research. So
Yeah, so you can do it the evil route, which is like
Mhm.
you raid the grove and kill all the tieflings. There is a way you can recruit her, still going the good route, if you fight her but non-lethal her and only knock her
yes,
out.
that is what I found out, which I don't. I've never done that before, but I was like, I
I
might
have,
try.
and it's
so
great. It's great. It's so great. She's so fun in
I'm
the party
excited.
because she's such a sassy bitch. It's so great.
That's where I'm at because I wanted to make sure that I had all the information before I did that battle because I last
Yeah.
time I played I just fucking killed everybody like right away
Yeah,
and especially
yeah,
her she
basically-
knocked down a cliff. So.
Basically, you have to make sure to non-lethal her, and she'll show up in Act 2.
That is good to know. I'm gonna try that this time. So but yeah, that's where I ended off. I did not have as much time as I wanted to, but I'm having a ton of fucking fun with it. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but my first playthrough I played a druid and I was so excited to talk to animals until I realized that all the animals are really mean. So I wanted to make sure-
Animals are just like, you're an asshole, you know that, right?
they're all super mean.
In fairness, we deserve it. We deserve to be mean too.
100%. But I was like, oh, cute squirrel. What does he have to say? And he's like, fuck off. Get away from me. I was like, oh, okay, bye.
I get
They're
it.
all like that.
I get it.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I thought it
Alright.
was just something I did.
No, they're all there. I don't think there was a single nice animal I met.
Okay. That makes me feel slightly better.
Yeah, so I think what we're gonna have to do is Seth, you and me need to organize just like a group playthrough, and then maybe Bree can drop in every now and again. But Bree, please feel free to continue your playthrough, and we'll check in on you periodically.
Yeah, I would love to pop in with y'all if I could make it work with my schedule, but my schedule. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
2 jobs.
Seth, how are you feeling about the game? Because I realize that this is not your wheelhouse in general.
I like it. It is not my wheelhouse in general, and I did have times when it was like, all right, I've played a couple hours of this. I still want to play video game, but not this. So I'm gonna go over and play something else, and then I'll come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fair.
I probably will keep playing it, which isn't something that I thought I would say at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But largely at this point because I want to get better at it and have all the sex and like meet people and not be made fun of and judged by both of you.
Well, I'm gonna do that regardless. That's my job, Seth.
True.
But so one thing I was curious about. So I played this on PC. Breeze played this on PC, even though she's a heathen and uses a controller. What's the console experience like on this game? Because I'm curious, more or less.
Pretty good. Like load times weren't long for how big the maps are. I didn't have any glitching. I didn't have any real issues with it at all.
I guess the thing I'm curious about is the control scheme specifically, because
That
it's turn based, which lends itself well to PC keyboard and mouse gaming. So like I don't know how the game works when you're using a controller for the most part.
Well, that was a little bit of a learning curve because you press R1, at least on PS5, press R1 and it opens up like 3 different wheels, and then you go through the wheels to pick your action.
Right.
Is that the same for
It takes a while
PC?
to get used to, for sure. Honestly, for at least for me, I had the hardest time with the controller is targeting individual enemies because like it goes all over the place. I feel like it's
That's
probably
true.
a lot easier with a mouse and keyboard, but like I don't know. I have like pre-arthritic hands. I just like controllers more comfortable for me. So
I mean, there are times on mouse and keyboard where like you're trying to do a certain thing, you accidentally click something and it does an action right away, and now all of a
yes.
sudden like you waste an action doing the thing that you wanted to do. And it kind of just screws up the thing. But like, again, like I know that basically mouse and keyboard is how this game was originally designed. So like, you go over your target, you select what your action is, it does the thing. So I know that there is the more wheel selection kind of style thing with it, and like I feel like it probably slows it down. But considering that it's turn based, it's probably not that big of a deal. But if you're not used to turn-based combat, I can feel like how it feels incredibly slow and sluggish.
Yeah. The biggest issue I had with controller was actually not in combat. It was remembering, oh wait, what button do I press to get back to this menu? How do I open up this? And like I would get lost in the controller, but that was only for the first few hours.
One thing that frustrated me is like there are times where you decide like, okay, I want to do this check, and then realizing it's like, oh no, I don't want to do this check, and I back out of it. It's like, nope, you're locked into doing this dice roll check, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah.
I spent a good half hour of the game crouched, and like because I couldn't figure out how to uncrouch, so it was just like sneaking around for like a half hour.
So the next thing Seth has to do is this full-on stealth build is when I'm picking up on that.
All right.
I would say, what class did you play? Did you say that, Seth?
I played fighter.
Oh, interesting. That's a good choice.
All right.
I like that.
I was getting ready to be made fun of again. I was
No, not at all.
drow half elf.
Like, yeah.
I mean, in
Fighter's
terms
good.
of like a starting character, fighter is good. Basically anything that's good at combat right away is always like kind of like, especially if you're new, is a good thing to do. Spellcasters are for people who are like willing to like stick for it for the long haul, like kind of Bree talked about in like tabletop RPG settings, where it's just like if you want to do a druid or a wizard or a cleric, like you have to be ready to like grind.
Yes.
Because the first like couple of levels you're useless. But like once you start getting up there and actually getting spells like actually you can use, not bad. But it's a grind. Like more combat-based characters like fighters and barbarians, they're typically pretty good early on, and then like they kind of peter out. Barbarians a little bit better because barbarians stack really high because they're tanks. So like high armor class, high constitution, like they can take a lot of damage and deal a lot of damage. Rogues are good pretty early because they can be good utility characters for like pickpocketing, lockpicking, all that kind of stuff. And then as time goes on, as they develop more, they can like do a lot of damage as long as they get to sneak.
Okay.
Emily's just being Emily.
Just a little dance back there.
She knows her little dancey dance. But yeah, spellcasters, like, yeah, that's definitely for players who have been doing it for a long time. I main ranger in general, which is good in combat, but has a couple of extra higher skills, and like, again, like, is a character that like avoids combat more than anything else. So like, will like use high charisma or survival perception checks for the most part to kind of get by. Barbarians are straight up just like fight. See things.
They're very fun, though.
Fight.
Yeah. As Bree will attest, a rogue is a very good utility character. They're very good for sneaking and pickpocketing and all that kind of stuff. And Bree just exudes rogue energy, and that's what she is. That's what she does. Emily keeps trying to be druid, and like it just doesn't work out because she always dumps stats intelligence.
Yeah, it's just too much to think about.
To which brings up my next point of conversation. What's our dump stat?
Oh, I didn't write this down. Shit. I don't know if I can look at it in time.
Wisdom's normally my dump stat because it's always
I don't need to be
useless.
smart. I just need to be persuasive.
I think I did charisma.
Charisma is the dump stat? That's the worst dump stat.
It's not, maybe intelligence. I don't remember.
What, have you never played this before or something? God.
Yeah, right.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're somebody like me who avoids combat, charisma is the best dump, is the best stat to like min max into, because charisma you could just roll persuasion rolls and get out of any situation.
And that actually makes me know that it wasn't charisma, because I failed a lot of persuasion rolls to a point where I was like, I failed that one. All right, we're just gonna reload.
Attaboy, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
It's so funny because Emily has played honor mode for this. So honor mode came out, I want to say half a year ago, and it's basically like you can't save anything. Like if you die, you die. It's like hardcore difficulty. And so she played that, and like there was literally a persuasion check that she failed, and she got total party killed, and the entire run through just basically ended.
Oh, that's so sad.
And you can't save scum, so you can't like go back to a previous save. Like wherever you're at, you stay at.
Oh my goodness, that's brutal.
Wow. That sounds tough.
I
Yeah.
don't think I could do that. I'm not that committal.
She's done it. She got Halston killed at one point.
Oh no.
So
Big Daddy Bear.
and like everything else. It's just it was really funny. So there's a point in Act 1 where you're dealing with Laketh, who is the Lich like queen of the Githyanki Lae'zel's race. And so basically if you kind of upset her, she uses Wish and wipes your whole party. So she upset her in the conversation dialogue and wiped her entire honor playthrough, not even for combat, but just being like pissing somebody off.
Oh no.
It's just so objectively funny.
I love that. Yeah, I even in my IRL games, both our like one shots and regular, I always dump wisdom. I'm just like, and that's my entire party. We're dumb as hell, but we get the job done, and that's all that really matters.
Oh
So,
wait,
Go
are we
ahead.
saying dump as in we put everything into it, or we take everything out of it?
Everything out of it? So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
so
I still don't know which one, but I was just speaking incorrectly.
So yeah, in context of D&D and tabletop RPGs, dump stat means like that's the stat that you don't put anything in. As a matter of fact, you take out of it so you can put it into other stuff. So your dump stat is the stat that you're the weakest in because you're prioritizing other things.
Okay.
And that gets us into the concept of min-maxing, where it's just like dump a bunch, everything into strength, dexterity, or charisma, or any of the other kind of stats that basically overpower your character in that specific situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm learning I suck at tabletop games.
They're so confusing. It took me 2 years to learn how to do combat.
There's such a hard learning curve, and Bree, I'm sure you experience this a lot as well. You really do need a good table and a good DM to kind of like, especially if you're a newbie, to like really kind of get you through it.
Yeah, it's especially if you do like if you play more than one character, it's just like you have to relearn everything. It's like not a lot carries over, honestly. It's just playing a rogue to playing barbarian is not a huge crossover. Like it wasn't terrible, but I'm like, oh, this is a whole new set of rules I need to learn. But it is fun once you get into it.
So what we all need to do is move into the same state and do a tabletop RPG. Emily can DM for us. It'll all be fine.
I would actually love to. I played Dragon Strike this weekend. I don't know if either of you are familiar, but Dragon Strike is a board game version of D&D that was created in like the 80s, 90s. It comes with a VHS tape that gives you an intro of the game. It's really good. It's a great feature film. And basically it's a super dumbed down version of D&D where it's like you can either play like a thief, an elf, like there's only like 5 different characters. And of course there's only one female. That's about it, which is a thief who is half naked. And it's just like a board game that you play
the
like
80s.
D&D. Yes, exactly. And it's very simplified. Like you only have 3 die, and it's super, super fun. So we just played it, and there's 12 interchangeable maps, so it could be a new experience every time. It is very fun.
That sounds fun, actually.
I think you would really get a kick out of it. I think especially that's actually not a bad introduction to D&D because it's very simplified and it's just very hammy and just very. We were just trying to save a princess from a wizard, and that was like the whole crux of it. And it was very fun. We had a great time.
Yep. Again, like we kind of prefaced at the beginning of the show, I do think anybody who's interested in getting into D&D or tabletop RPGs, play Baldur's Gate 3. Absorb everything through osmosis. You'll get a better understanding of how, like, skill checks work. You'll get an understanding about how combat flows, and like you'll get an idea of the role play. Like, again, I'm a more role play person when it comes to D&D. I'm not so much a like combat min maxer. I'll try to min max as best I can, but I'm definitely not that great at it.
No, for sure. And Seth, you said something about this a little earlier. I will say I think like my only like small caveat to like liking this game is that like I think it is best played if you have a couple of hours to spare so you can like really dig into what you're doing. Like can you
That's
play
true.
it for a half hour? Sure. You're going to get some stuff done, but not a whole lot. So it's just
Yeah.
like I think you were mentioning earlier like if I'm having like a night where I just want to like play something light and fluffy just for a little bit, this is not the game probably.
Nope.
Like there's a bunch of other games I would reach for before this. I like to sit down and like really dig into this game if I'm going to play it.
I 1000% agree with you, Brie.
Mm-hmm.
I found that actually to be the hardest thing, actually, because I wanted to play a lot more of it in the time we had. I knew that, like, since I've already like completed a few playthroughs, I have like probably the most knowledge of this game at this point. But I wanted to play more. But it was like kind of like, do I really need to dedicate that much time and mental energy into this right now? It's a hard game to do that too, because it is so narratively driven, and you're making a lot of decisions. It's difficult.
Yeah. It's a weekend game, maybe not like an after
Yeah.
work game if you only have like an hour before bed or something. Probably not the one.
Probably
I see that.
Speaking of stuff going on in the gaming industry, this is an interesting game and conversation to have. So Larian Studios, who developed it, they don't inherently qualify as an indie developer, but they are a developer. They're their own publisher. They do all that other kinds of stuff. Obviously, since it's a D&D based product, it is technically under Wizard of the Coast, who can go get fucked. Because of Hasbro, who can also get fucked. Official stance
Yes.
of the show.
They canceled Power Rangers. How dare they? Now we're back in my wheelhouse.
I actually wanted to talk a lot about Power Rangers, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But regardless, like, like, this game went through like a really interesting development cycle that I wish more people would do. And like, some of it is stuff that people will say like they don't like early access stuff, but like this had a very broad early access period that allowed them to troubleshoot, play test, do a lot of other things. And like what was going on in early access didn't translate over into the main game. And then also like constant patches and updates, new content and everything else like that, all not added charges. Like there's stuff that was added to this game that could have easily been DLC, but it was never DLC. And then they also have the mod support, which is now native, where it's just like we're playing it with it when we were doing it. It's just like, if there's a mod you want to use, you can mod the game. And
That's
even on
huge.
console, and that was nice and surprising.
Yeah. And the game industry is so anti that, and the fact that this game does all of those things and creates so much goodwill is something I think should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because right now, what's going on in the game industry, that's good. Seth, have you played any Doom Dark Ages yet?
No, I have not. No, not yet. But why do you ask? What negative things have you heard? Because I have opinions.
I'm getting a lot of the like, oh, it's the worst Doom. Oh, it's the best Doom. It's just like, okay, so where is anybody coming from on this?
Yeah. What I'm seeing is a lot of people being like, it's not as good as Eternal, but I really like it. And part of the reason I haven't gotten it yet is that this happened to me with Eternal too, where they talked about all the new mechanics, and I was like, you're fucking with Doom. I'll just wait until it gets cheap. And then I got the game when it got cheap, and I was like, oh, this is fucking great. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. I don't like that they're relying so much on a parry and melee system. The tank fights look boring to me, or mech fights. They're not tanks. And I'm just like, I think they kind of may have fucked up and tried to do too much.
I will give them credit in saying that going back to like Internal's thing is just like it will get cheap. It's not it's not like a Nintendo game where it's always going to be $60. Like there's going to be a Steam sale where it's $5. You can pick it up. You have it. But like I said, I don't know. I still need to play through 2016 before I pick up Internal. But Internal like set a bar pretty high for that franchise. So anybody who's like trying, so somebody saying it's like it's not as good as Internal is just like, but Internal was so good. Like
it's hard to follow a masterpiece.
Yeah. It's like when your band puts out like their magnum opus, like their greatest album, and then their follow-up album is just like it's not as good.
21st Century Breakdown.
We don't talk about that.
It's better than some other stuff they've put out, but
Brie can't speak to this. She doesn't like Green Day.
I'm dissociating. So.
Yeah, checked out. You're thinking about what I'm going to order for dinner after this.
But no, Brie, so kind of going to your thing, like in terms of like where this sits in your gaming appetite, because you're more of an indie girly and everything else like that, and you're more of a cozy game girly. This is more of a hardcore game than like a cozy indie kind of thing. So how does this kind of fit into your gaming diet?
Yeah, I will say I wouldn't say I'm necessarily like strictly a cozy gamer. It just depends, honestly, what I'm in the mood for. So, but yeah, no, again, I think I kind of summed it up a little bit earlier. I'm just like, I fucking love this game. I think it's so fun. I've been wanting to like pick it up again. It's just the time commitment for me. It's just like, I really think this is a game that needs your full attention, needs a lot of attention, needs a lot of time in order for you to like, because even again, like, and I don't think there's like too much dialogue by any means, but I'm like, there's a lot of fucking dialogue, and each character has their own backstory and their own side quests to do. So it's nice in the sense that, like Seth, you mentioned earlier, I love that there's so many directions to take in this, and in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming. It's just like, oh my god, I have so much to do. Like, I really don't have to follow this main line unless I want to. And it's certainly there if you're like, I just want to go to town on this game. But there's so many side quests all the time. Again, my neurodivergent brain loves this because there is always something new to pique my interest. And even like, again, on the more girly side, I love getting to change my clothes. And it's a small detail, but I love when you can put on new equipment and it actually looks like new equipment. It's a small detail, but I'm like, I really appreciate that. It just like looks nice in cutscenes. So.
Emily has so many mods that are literally just more hair and makeup and scar and tattoo options literally for those mods. And so, like, literally, I think every time we've ever played together on our shared playthrough, she spends, like, the first, like, 2 hours literally just at the magic mirror, like, changing the appearances of all the characters.
Well, this game already has like really good customization. Like, I mean, you like base game, you could really spend a long fucking time.
We made the joke. We made the joke when we were trying to do our playthrough together. It's just like, okay, we're gonna spend the first hour of the show literally in character creator.
Easily, and you could. There's really so much to do, and like, although I will say you can also do it very quickly. There's a lot of randomization where you could just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
super nice. So the level of inclusivity and customization of this game is like, in my opinion, really unmatched, which makes it the best. But yeah, no, I love this game. I think it fits in really well with everything. It's just, again, the time commitment. I usually pick, in fact, Game Birds is coming back. I swear, we have 2 episodes backlog.
Game Birds mentioned.
Yeah, we have 2 recorded. They just need to be edited. And I just gave up on a game recently because I found out it was 15 hours, and I was like, ugh. That's a lot of hours. So, it's a visual novel too.
While we're talking about a game that could take 300 hours.
Correct. Yeah. I'm not a visual novel girly. I feel like I seem like I should be. I hate visual novels. I think they're very fucking boring.
Yeah, so. I'm kind of on the same page with you. But hey, Fable will come back one day.
I can't wait. I fucking love it.
They keep threatening.
I keep hoping.
All right, so Seth, in terms of you, I know you picked fighter. So if you were to pick a class and race today, what would you pick?
See, I don't know. I'm thinking about just starting over from the start next time I play it, and so I've kind of been like mulling that around while we've been having this conversation, and I honestly don't know. Maybe Ranger. I don't know.
Tell you what, as the maining of half orc ranger, which is my racing class, I will let you take ranger, and then I will do a joint playthrough with you on streaming. And just guide you through the game and just try to be like, no, don't do that, don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. All right. I might take you up on that, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't know until we'll do it again.
So, Bree, besides a tiefling druid, what would you want to be?
Oh, I would never want to be a tiefling druid again. That was a bad time. So
In the game, not in tabletop RPG.
in the game, that's tough. Here's the thing. I would like to get better at being like, I don't know if there's like a light version of spell casting, but I'd like to get better at that because I think there's something there.
Warlock.
Oh, maybe that's the way to go because I feel like it genuinely when I play games like I'm thinking of like Mass Effect. Like I tend to like to have like a character that can do a little bit of both, where I can have some spells, but I can also use my gun. I like to be able to do both things. Like I hate when I have to like dump.
You and me were both vanguards. I remember.
Yes, exactly. Like that's how I like to play most games. I'm just like I like having options.
And it's like I want to be able to use my psychic powers, but I also want to shoot somebody in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah, 100%. Because a certain situation.
Which is why we play Doom.
Yeah. So
He doesn't have that many psychic powers.
But a lot of shotgun.
A lot of shotgun. The super shotgun in Eternal, so good. You shoot a chain at people and then it pulls you to them, and then you can. It's so fun.
Oh, that's pretty.
And you get an upgrade later where it sets them on fire when they get hooked with the chain.
Also, I'm always tiefling forever. I just think tieflings are the coolest.
Well, yeah, you're bisexual with dyed hair. Like, of course you're a tiefling.
Exactly. If I had the option to be a Kenku, I would do that, but I don't have that option. So
unfortunately, I always go half orc. I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm big, dumb, and strong. That's just my default.
It feels home.
I did do a tiefling warlock, so give me some credit.
All right.
I was just a bisexual in search of its sugar daddy. We all do it.
Like we all are.
Aren't we all? Oh, bisexuals. So nothing if not very predictable.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, I'm heterosexual, but a switch, so that counts, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
We really do need to. I said this on the thing that when we tried recording together. You say some very bisexual egg things, like
Seth. You're not telling me something I don't already know. I'm heterosexual, and that's just like, am I straight? I don't know.
But maybe. I hear you.
Let me get through one more playthrough of Baldur's Gate before I decide.
Regardless, this is not a heteronormative podcast. Let's make that inherently clear.
Everyone's hot.
Agreed.
Yes.
Especially Seth.
Aww.
No fucking question. That mustache?
I'm saying.
The TikTok clout? Let's be honest.
The very minimal TikTok clout.
It's more than I have.
More than I have.
And that's what keeps me going. I have more followers than my friends do.
Perfect.
Alrighty then. Well, So that's our discussion of Baldur's Gate 3. I think the general rule is we highly recommend it. It's available on most platforms, consoles, and PC. It's not on Switch. It probably won't ever be on Switch. I don't think it would work on Switch.
I can imagine.
Maybe that Switch 2, where you won't own it, and if you do anything to your Switch, they'll brick it.
We don't even have time to get into that topic. But regardless, it's a very deep and heavy game. So if you want something that you can kind of get lost in, go for it. Obviously, as Bree can attest, like if you're somebody who like can't dedicate that kind of time, you can jump in and out of it. Like literally, like 2 hours, you'll do a whole bunch, but still not progress. All that good stuff. And if you're somebody who's interested in D&D and tabletop RPGs, it is a very good gateway drug into it. It's not one for one of how it works, but it does introduce you to the core concepts. So,
absolutely
recommend it on that. And then, of course, just like getting the opportunity to kind of explore things, play a game the way that you want to do, have sex with who you want, kill who you want, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
also,
play it how you want to play it
cool.
unless you're me. Dragons are cool.
Dragons are cool.
But yeah, play it how you want to play it unless you're me and make every single mistake possible.
Yeah. But hey, it's a great game because it lets you make those mistakes.
True.
Yeah.
All right. So anyways, that brings us to the next topic, which is basically, Bree, what are we doing next week? Or next time we meet?
I'm going to give you two options. Option one, how do we feel about our screen time in general, friends?
Ooh, I don't want. That's not something I want to talk about publicly.
That's like that's talking about your sex life. You just don't bring it up in polite company.
Well, I was gonna say, would you be up for a sort of reduced screen time challenge? Because there's a lot of things I'd like to talk about with that. But if you don't,
ooh, interesting.
I thought the homework would be us talking about screen time and how much and why we get sucked into it and like
Tell me
yeah,
more. I'm listening.
I'm okay.
I'm listening. I think that the easiest way to like implement this would be there's an app called Opal, and it helps block apps for you, and it also gives you some hard data about how much time you realistically spend on your phone, and it's been a very humbling experience for me. And I think as like the world starts crumbling, my screen time has gotten way worse. So I'm kind of like, I think it's something that I'm just trying to do personally, and I'd kind of like to see if you two would be up for the challenge and kind of see what comes of that. If you'd be interested.
Maybe.
Okay, what's option 2?
Option 2 is just something I brought up previously, which would be us making not individual playlists for each other, but just like a master playlist for each of us that we would each listen to, and then maybe like slightly curate with some like maybe like liner notes.
I brought this up previously in the Discord chat where I asked you guys what your guys' listening apps were. Seth's a pirate, so.
But I did dress appropriately, so.
Exactly.
You're like, the shoe fits.
Hey, we support not paying corporate overlords on this podcast. Official stance of the show.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Spotify's awful, by the way. So.
Yeah.
True.
I got roped into Spotify for reasons. Granted, I was using YouTube Music, so it's not like that's better. So.
You're fucked either way.
I could do either.
I like the screen time idea. Like I think we should still approach the like shared playlist things. I'd actually really like that, but I think the shared screen time would be a very interesting thought experiment, to say the least. Seth, feel free to weigh in.
No, I'm on board.
All right.
Yeah, cool. Honestly, just because I think it'd be the less I've been on screen, like had screen time, I feel like a lot of interesting things have happened to me. So I'm kind of interested to see if you guys have very similar experiences, because it's just very societally very normal for us to be on our phones constantly. And when you start to like take away from it a little bit more, a lot of stuff happens. So I'm glad you guys are interested. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. So you said the app's called Opal?
Opal, yes. So and then it allows you to do certain blocks at certain times to kind of help reduce it, and then it gives you like a weekly wrap up. So
okay, send us a link in the Discord chat. We'll get that downloaded, and then we'll discuss when we want to do that. Anyways, That has been this episode of Internet Friends. I am TCK Media Productions on most platforms. You have that Seth 23 that you can find on the Tiki of Talkies. He
I'm
is
sorry.
in the Creator Fund, so watch his stuff, comment on it, tell him he needs to go to therapy, all that good stuff. And then you have the Raccoon Loon herself. Eventually, Game Birds is coming back. I swear to God, it's coming
Maybe.
back. Listen to
Hope
Game
so.
Birds. It's a great show. Honestly, Brie brings in 120% more effort than she does on this show, on that show.
Easily, baby, easily. It's because we film in the morning.
But regardless, it's a good show talking about indie games. It's introduced me to a lot of new things, and so I very much appreciate it. And I think you guys would appreciate it too. And that is our show, and we will see you guys next time.